Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to say on behalf of the IPI that we are very grateful for your hospitality, and in particular for the invitation of the IPI National Committee, which made it possible for us to come here for this assembly. The International Press Institute, as Your Excellency knows, is an organization of editors from 62 countries with a membership of 1,827. It is devoted to the fight for the principle of press freedom throughout the world. The IPI is also dedicated to the promotion of understanding among peoples of various parts of the globe through the press. In this task, we have had to protest vigorously against oppression of the press in many countries. By some accident, we have never protested in Israel. I hope that this means that there is a free press in Israel. But I want to assure you, Mr. President, that we have not lost hope. We still keep our eyes, even on Israel, in the hope that some occasion might arise when we would have to protest. But for the present, we are your guests, and we want to say that we have been completely overwhelmed, not only by the efficiency of the organization. I was asking this morning from the director whether any member of our team had laid any complaint. And he said he had received no complaint. In IPI, that is most unusual. So I want to say that we are very much impressed by this organization. The dishes have been delicious, and the attitude of all that we have come across have been very, very friendly. The IPI team will leave here, I'm quite sure, with very good impressions of the Israeli hospitality, particularly in the midst of the critical situation in which this country is. I think I'm right in saying that within the walls of Jerusalem, one feels rather safe. And I think this is a tribute to the activities of your government and the length to which the government has gone to make us comfortable. On behalf of the IPI, I say thank you very much. Shalom.
The President, please.
Mr. Yakande, Mr. Disenchik, members of the International Press Institute, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome you here on my own behalf as President of Israel and on behalf of the people of Israel. I understand that it is the second time that an annual assembly of this organization is being held in Israel. 12 years ago, you met in Tel Aviv, and today you are meeting in Jerusalem. And I hope that during your tours and discussions with some of the important members of the government, as well as with the Prime Minister, you'll have the opportunity to get a first-hand picture of what's going on in Israel and the progress achieved practically in every area of our lives, in agriculture, in industry, in health, in security. Let me just say that the Jewish people, as many of you know, respected the written word, the spoken word, for many thousands of years. We have the saying that life and death are at the mercy of the tongue. And in modern terms, the tongue, I understand, means newspaper, radio, television. Now, as people of the book, we appreciate and respect what is being said and written. And because of this, I feel rather strongly that the group gathered here is of great importance to their own countries as well as to the world as a whole. While going over some of the brochures that I got from Mr. Desenchik, I saw the noble cause for which the IPI stands. It's safeguard for the freedom of the press, it's for the promotion of the free exchange of news, it's to improve the practice of journalism. That freedom of the press is the lifeblood of democracy, I need not tell you who practice and fight for it. Ours, as you may know, is a highly critical, rather lively press, and it is our sincere hope that whatever restrictions military censorship still impose may wither away with the coming of peaceful relations between us and the nations of this region. How refreshing it would be to find the news from Israel concentrating not on terrorism, arms, race, threats of war, but on subjects like water control methods, scientific discoveries, educational approaches, music, the struggle for true equality for women, and other related topics. Now, as a scientist, I tried to see whether we have things in common in our ideas and perhaps some things and approaches by which we differ. Now, let me say that as you are fighting for the freedom of the press, we have a lot in common. As scientists, I have always fought for academic freedom. You are fighting for the promotion of free exchange of information. Scientists are always trying to have free exchange in their scientific activities. You are trying to improve the practice of journalism. We are trying to improve the practice of scientists. But let me just say, perhaps not as a president, I am a president only for 2 weeks, but let me just say as a scientist that for a long time, in spite of the fact that I have started with a colleague of mine, with the late Professor Hestrin, a scientific popular journal, so in this respect I feel that I am allowed to speak in this audience, and it's a rather successful popular journal. But let me just say that as a scientist, I always was a little bit critical, and I thought, well, a scientist is always trying to know more and more about less and less, and the journalist most likely, and please don't be offended, is trying to know less and less about more and more. But as a matter of fact, I feel that scientists, if they want to be good scientists, they should know more and more about more and more. And I'm pretty certain that editors, people who are dealing with public modern communications, are also trying to do the same. So perhaps it would be most desirable that scientists will learn a little bit from the journalists, and maybe the journalists and editors learn a little bit from the scientists. Now, I've gone over very carefully the topics that will be discussed, and of course they are of very great importance, and I wish you a lot of success. But let me perhaps for a second divert and say what I feel and I've always felt as a man who directed various basic scientific activities, to a certain extent applied scientific activities in this country. I think that we cannot deny the fact that modern scientific and technological developments are leading to a concentration of power in the hands of a very small number of people, in technology, in science, in public opinion, in many other areas. And it is because of this that I feel that those who are lucky or perhaps unlucky to have this power have enormous responsibilities. And I'm pretty certain that all of you, as you had been responsible, I assume, till now, will continue to do so in the future. I was very glad to see that our Israeli Press Council is trying to impose on our reporters moral principles, taking into consideration that they have enormous responsibilities. Let me just quote, most likely Mr. Desenchik was involved. Among the regulations of our reporters are the following. A reporter is forbidden to resort to fraud, provocation, seduction, blackmail, and threats to get information. A reporter may not accept any gift or benefit directly or indirectly that may influence his story. A reporter may not act as an informer to anyone. If these rules will be continuously in power, I hope, Mr. Chairman, that you won't have any work in Israel, in this respect at least. Now, it's, as you know, Israel is in existence for 25 years. And you'll have the opportunity to see the progress made. We are trying to achieve peace in every possible way. I can assure you that while being here in office, I had the opportunity to discuss the activities towards peace of every minister of our government. I can assure you that this is really their primary interest and primary aim. We want to bring over more and more people from our scattered nation to Israel. As you know, Mr. Chairman, we are trying now to bring in more and more Jews from Russia. And still, if we are fighting for freedom, freedom of press, freedom of immigration, freedom of choice for every person, there is still a lot to do in order to get it from the Russians. Now let me try and end that we respect enormously scholars. And while looking into our old sayings and books, I found again and again, and I was